Have you ever tried to get into a show but found yourself always repelled from it? The series could be praised by others and maybe you even find it interesting, but there's just something about it that makes you uncomfortable. Something making you unable to finish more than an episode or two before dropping it. You try to rationalize it by saying it just doesn't interest you right now or that the vibes were off. Any excuse to not have to face the truth, that the show is reflecting parts of yourself back to you, and it's the parts you hate. This has been my experience with the anime Welcome to the NHK, multiple times. Welcome to the NHK was released all the way back in 2006. Yet as time has passed, the problems explored in the show have only gotten more prevalent. People in general today are more isolated from each other than ever. The many ways people would form small communities that can offer support to each other have been avoided and shunned by the younger generations. Now we have Discord servers, the chats of our favorite streamers, and whatever social media algorithm we are boxed into online. These non-physical connections have given us a sense of belonging, but ones that are detached from reality. The protagonist, Tatsuhiro Sato, is a college dropout, is socially awkward, struggles with mental health, doesn't have a girlfriend, doesn't have any friends around, and is unemployed. He's a NEET. A hikikomori whose anxiety and paranoia surrounding other people has caused him to isolate himself for 3 years. 3 years of spending his days watching shows or anime, drinking, smoking, giving into more base pleasures, and just doing nothing, sleeping the day away. Guess who else is a college dropout, socially awkward, struggles with mental health, doesn't have a girlfriend, doesn't have any friends around, and is unemployed? He's a NEET who spends all his time watching shows or anime, drinking, playing video games, etc., etc. Maybe a few of you are wondering how I know so much about you. But I am actually talking about Spirit, me, at age 21. Really, the only major differences are that I was obese and lived in my parents' basement, while Sato lives completely alone and isn't obese. I don't know how the frick he manages that. How are you not obese, Sato? Mr. Young Adult Spirit, also around this time, tried to watch this seemingly silly-looking show for the second time, and couldn't make it past the first episode. Looking back, I really wish I had. If anyone watching finds that they started mentally checking off boxes in their head for the descriptors I listed earlier, and hasn't watched Welcome to the NHK, I'd really recommend ending the video and instead watching the series for yourself. Doubly so if you try to get through it and it feels uncomfortable. Shows like Welcome to the NHK are great ways to force yourself to self-reflect. Take it from someone who didn't do this for a long time, self-reflection is needed. There's a quote that goes something like, "If you don't look around and acknowledge that the room is dark, you won't turn on the light." Either way, this video won't exactly be a review, more of an exploration for why shows like this are important. From now on, there will be spoilers ahead, so if you're still with me, let's get into it. Let's start at a scene pretty far into the series. In episode 19, Sato comes face to face with another hikikomori, Torotoro. Torotoro is someone who stays in his room all day playing an MMO. He doesn't even leave his room to eat. Instead, he slams his foot down, demanding his sister brings him food. The MMO is where he first met Sato, killing dragons together. During their short time playing together, Sato had told Torotoro that he is a hikikomori. Through a whole sequence of events, Sato, his best friend Yamazaki, and Misaki, who is... We'll return to Misaki later. Regardless, the group all find themselves in Torotoro's sister's house. When the group, including Sato, initially walks into Torotoro's room, he goes friggin' ballistic. He can't talk to Sato when he was in the same room as him, but asks for Sato to talk to him in the MMO they played. This scene is where we get to see Sato's feelings towards Torotoro and his hikikomori lifestyle. Sato is very critical of how he relies on his sister to provide for him, and that if he knows his lifestyle is bad, why hasn't he changed it? This is Sato not only being critical of Torotoro, but of himself.
You can say whatever the hell you want, but this is nothing but escapism. You're just living in this comfortable fantasy world while your sister is out there suffering.
His encounter with Toro is forcing Sato to self-reflect. Any anger he feels towards Toro is anger he feels towards himself. Sato is being provided for by his working parents and friends, and he also knows his lifestyle is bad but doesn't make concrete moves to change it. Just like how Toro reads self-help books but never does anything with this knowledge, Sato goes to Misaki's lectures but never tries to accomplish anything on his own. Both the self-help books and the lectures are ways that they deceive themselves that they are making progress and working towards being better without doing any substantial work. This same mindset is the reason Sato decides to work on a very cultured game with Yamazaki. Sato says he isn't a NEET as long as he is working towards making something, which is a good goal. But will stop any progress on writing the game script the moment there is anything else in his life. Plus, he only started working on it in the first place because of getting caught up in his lies to Misaki. The reason Sato got addicted to the MMO is similar. Sato first starts playing the MMO because he has this, grand plan of getting real-world money for selling items in the game. But the life he lives online becomes the only one he cares about. Making progress to a better life in the real world can rightfully feel hard because it might truly be hard. But the feeling of overcoming obstacles and bettering yourself is great. What if you could have all those feelings in video games, though? The triumph of overcoming challenges, the camaraderie of being in a community, the feeling of being someone special. All with added dopamine dispensers as you watch, number is going up. It becomes easy to prefer the online world to the real one. I know because this was the biggest pitfall I fell into when I dropped out of college. I felt that I had completely failed in the real world by dropping out of college, so I took shelter from these feelings by secluding myself online and heavily in video games. I didn't do anything outside or join some activity to make some friends. I instead joined a gaming clan for a sense of community and connection and played a game competitively. I got to feel like I was getting better at something and making progress in my life. Just, at the price of not putting any energy towards my real life. As a result, I was completely stagnant and, I was just getting worse as I slowly sank into my horrible routine.
I'm not a failure or a NEET anymore. I'm a level 31 magic knight now. I'm the king of the world.
Thankfully, I eventually found something that got me to care about my life and myself again. That being my spirituality. Funnily enough, the game I played competitively shut down anyways not long after I got a job, so at some point, my routine would have been destroyed anyways, but I'm thankful that I destroyed it myself earlier than that. The most negative feelings I had towards Sato, that really were just directed towards my younger self, happened during the time he got addicted to the MMO. Some anger, yeah, but mostly just a hardcore cringe. Coming from seeing myself being reflected from Sato and feeling embarrassed. The other major times being his passive suicidal thoughts and when he pushes Misaki away due to his fear. All moments that made me reflect on different actions in my own life. I think the only time I was legit angry at a character's actions and not angry at my past self was the affair between Sato and Hitomi. Now this turned out to be a daydream from Sato, but I was fuming during those minutes it went on. Speaking of Hitomi, let's talk about Hitomi for a bit. Hitomi is slightly older than Sato, being his senior when they were in high school. Sato has seemingly had a crush on her pretty much since they were in the same club together way back in high school. Hitomi has her own troubles and quirks.
And listen to Hitomi go on and on about conspiracy theories.
Conspiracy. This is all part of a massive conspiracy. Conspiracy. The world is full of conspiracies, you know? Conspiracy.
Must be a conspiracy.
Right.
Hitomi also has major depressive episodes. I don't know if her depression is brought about purely due to her circumstances, or if she is like me and her natural-born brain chemistry is just kind of screwy. I say this since she has been blaming conspiracies for her problems in life for the entire time we have seen her in the series. but it's only later when she is having difficulties at work that she takes medication. So it could be internal problems, external problems, probably a combination of both, that cause her depressive moods and her self-esteem issues. The first time Sato meets Hitomi after high school is when he goes on an otaku bender with Yamazaki and finds out Hitomi has been living a normal adult life. Sato even stating her job as a government employee is impressive. We found out later that Hitomi also has a boyfriend who she really likes and states he's perfect. When these two sit together to catch up in this scene, you get to see the stark contrast between Sato's neat life and Hitomi's respectable life, but neither are doing well mentally. Sato's is obvious to us as we've been following his life the entire show. But Hitomi is interesting. She's rather listless and has a cornucopia of pills on hand. Not so subtly hinting at the problems she is facing herself. The next time we see her, we find out that she has problems in the workplace. Her boyfriend that she cares for isn't always able to make time for her due to his job. And she writes fan fiction about her life to a group online, which is an interesting choice. We see her as she writes that she is in a relationship with Sato, and he beats her. Poor guy just can't win. When dwelling on her current state of life, Hitomi comes to the decision that she is going to kill herself, as she feels no one needs her in this world. Due to a misunderstanding between the two, Sato gets wrangled into joining Hitomi after a night of drinking, and both are off to meet people from the online group Hitomi is a part of to jump off a cliff. Sato doesn't know that going in, but he eventually finds out. I think this part does an excellent job at showing the feedback loop that occurs when people only exchange negative feelings with each other. Sato is in a happier mood because he just thinks they're on vacation, causing the group to lighten up, if even for just a little bit. They in turn, with how they talk about how their lives are all hopeless and death is the only answer, get Sato to dwell on the negatives in his own life, and Sato almost becomes the only person to jump off the cliff. However, that was also due to the not-so-great word choices by, Misaki and Hitomi's boyfriend.
Sato, you're not a rock on the side of the road! You're a human being! That's right! You're a flesh and blood failure of a human being!
During this climactic moment, Hitomi's boyfriend proposes to her, reassuring her she has importance, at least to him, and Hitomi is relieved and overjoyed. But even though this sounds like the special right off into the sunset moment for Hitomi, she still has struggles when we see her later on. The next time we see Hitomi, she is married and seems to be overall happier, as she affirms this is the case to Sato. Then why does it seem like she wants to burn it all down by asking Sato if he wants to have an affair?
Sato, is life supposed to hurt this much?
For me, somehow it's painful.
Yeah, but I mean, you are happy, right?
I'm happy, but that's why I'm so uneasy.
It's like Hitomi doesn't think she should be allowed to be genuinely happy. Hitomi is about to self-sabotage because her happiness makes her uncomfortable. The depressive moods she's been in suck, but it's the normal she's had in her life. Like Toro, she is afraid of change, even if it's a good one. This is a struggle that I empathize heavily with. After doing work on myself, getting to a better place, actually enjoying life more, something inside of me wanted to burn it all down because it was too unfamiliar. Thankfully, I stopped myself plenty of times, but there were other times I didn't, and hurt myself and others, so I could go back to being more isolated. It's rough when your biggest enemy is a part of your own mind. I know there are many out there like me that have the same enemy in their own head. My heart goes out to anyone still having to contend with that enemy. But believe me when I say, it's a fight you can still win. Sato at the end of the series is also constantly still fighting every day to better his own life. He explains to Misaki that everyone has their own versions of the NHK. Everyone has their own hardships. But you can work at these hardships bit by bit each day. Like a drill piercing the... Wait, that's the wrong series. Even after the grand spectacle of being saved right before she committed suicide, Hitomi still struggles with her mental health. That's something I really like about the lessons from the show. That there is no dramatic, sweeping event that fixes everything in your life and your mental struggles. It is an everyday battle against whatever your NHK is.
Even after all we went through, none of our problems were solved. And even though things look better now, it wouldn't surprise me if we went back to saying things like I'm useless or I can't do it. Still, for now at least, I'm hanging in there. I don't know how long it'll last, but damn it, I'll give it the best I've got.
There will be moments of weakness where we falter. That doesn't mean we failed and are weak. We're fighting every day, so of course we are going to take some L's. We just need to do our best to learn from them, pick ourselves up, and continue on. A lesson that both Sato and Misaki incorporate into... Oh yeah, Misaki, right. Let's get back to Misaki. I, like many others starting the show, had a negative reaction to Misaki when she first showed up. Oh boy, here's the random cute girl that takes interest in the MC for whatever reason and helps him with all his troubles. Except it's shown very early on, after her initial introduction, that she has her own problems. That she isn't some magical savior for Sato. She, like everyone else, is a person with her own flaws. Also, her lectures don't work. She doesn't solve Sato's problems. Sato gets a job and starts working when all his safety nets fall away. The same thing that happens with Toro. The most helpful thing she does for Sato is being another person in his life that cares about him. Eventually with him, in turn, doing the same for her. They can't solve each other's internal issues because that is something each of them has to do for themselves. But they can be there to support each other. Misaki I found interesting because instead of reflecting on more of my past self through Sato and Hitomi, Misaki made me think more about the current version of me. There's a lecture Misaki gives late in the show on why God is evil, stating that 90% of life is pain and sadness, while there's only 10% of joy that makes life worth living. With so much evil in life, that obviously means that the God who controls life must be evil. I have felt this kind of frustration many times myself. That my failures must be some divine punishment for something horrible I have done in this life or a past one. I personified my own NHK as some external force that messes with my life in order to make it a painful one. There was an experience that helped me during these depressive moods. I once wrote down multiple things in my life that I was grateful for, and many things in my life that are going well. The next day, because I have a wacky brain chemistry, I was going through a depressive mood, and was starting down the spiral of negative thoughts about how everything sucks in my life, and I'm just wasting my time working on anything. Why try when I'll just fail anyways, that kind of thing. Similar thinking to Misaki and her 90% of life being pain. It sounds a bit silly, but having literal pages of words that I myself wrote just the day before gave me ammunition against my depressive self. It was ammunition that me seeing 90% of my life as pain is due to my own perception. A perception that is warped and untrue, influenced by my depressive mood. This didn't magically make all these negative thoughts stop, but having the weapon that was my own positive thoughts written down makes that everyday fight easier. I'd been thinking to myself why I even make these kinds of videos in the first place. Sure, there are certain parts of the process that are enjoyable, and I feel a need to express myself. I also feel the desire to help others in a dark spot, similar to the ones I was in a decade ago. Now, it's not like these videos get views, and even if they did, I wonder if I'm just doing the same ineffectual thing that Misaki was doing for Sato with the lectures. Lords know that there is plenty of self-improvement slop on YouTube. Maybe if we all had a cute goyle to care for and help us, we could all beat our problems. But that's unlikely. We have to be our own cute girls, cheering ourselves on. As ultimately, the only one who can really make the positive changes in our lives is us. The world isn't in a great place right now, but there's always going to be something going on. The world doesn't stop for us when we are stuck in our dark headspaces. As the world continues around us, no matter what happens, all we can do is try. Try and find some parts of living that help us feel content. If an absolute goober like me, or Sato, can slowly improve their life and eventually start to enjoy living, I have hope anyone can. Spirituality was the thing that caused the momentum shift in my own life. It might not be the same for you, but you just need to explore until you find something that does light a passion in you. Healthy things, don't just end up like younger me and become passionate about drinking alcohol.
Did you get beer? I got whiskey! No!
I'm still paying for that long mistake. Spirituality is usually what my videos are about, though. Like the most recent one being where I honestly just ramble too much about the concept of destruction not being a bad thing. Which is true, by the way. Sato's hikikomori life needed destruction. Destruction's not evil. Anyways, thanks for watching. This ghost has talked for long enough. Go and do something you enjoy for a bit. And maybe I'll see you around next time.